Welcome back to American Agenda. Bob Sellers here with Heather Childers. Baseball season finally making a comeback this spring. I tried to buy some tickets.
Yeah.
And they're very limited. It's hard to do it, but that's a side to a Nationals game. But it's hard to get. But Little Leaguers, you can get tickets to those. But they're excited to get back on the field. But they're being forced, possibly, to drop some games. One league in Pennsylvania finding themselves disappointed after tournament officials require players 12 years and older must receive the COVID vaccine. Why hold kids back from participating if they don't want to get the vaccine? Nate, I got to tell you, this drives me a little crazy because I understand anybody can get this, and I understand there are cases where people have become very sick even at a young age, and maybe some have died, but it just seems like those are the exceptions, and kids under 16 generally don't seem to be at high risk for this, and we're going to force them to get something that could have risk attached to it.
No, kids are as low risk as it gets, and young kids are particularly low risk. This just strikes me as cruel. I mean, you have Little League teams for a variety of reasons not being able to play, and Little League is an integral part of the American way of life. I mean, for a lot of us, this is how we grew up. This was a huge part of our sort of education in what it means to be an American. And the fact that despite the fact that kids have been able to be in schools, inside, for months on end without vaccines, with very little spread, somehow it's unacceptable for them to be outside playing baseball with one another. Yeah. It's just an absurd proposition. It's the result of this incredibly restrictive, bureaucratic mindset where there's no risk tolerance allowed at all. And it's cruel. It's really, it's just another blow to these kids who have had a really rough year to start out with.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, Aaron. No risk tolerance. I mean, there's risk in life. There's risk. Hey, when you play baseball, I got news for you. You can get hit in the head by the ball, okay?
Yeah, and as a mother, I find this to be completely morally reprehensible. Why does the Little League Association, if they're even called that, have the right to tell me how to parent my child and what vaccines I should give my child? Right. There better be medical exemptions, and there better be religious exemptions built into this. I bet you in places like Florida with Governor DeSantis, who is a strong Republican, these won't be allowed. But in Pennsylvania, that's where the Little League World Series, I believe, takes place. Yeah. So that's probably why it's coming out of Pennsylvania. But this is particularly troubling. This has not been a vaccine that's been around forever. And now we've seen that some countries are taking, I believe, the AstraZeneca vaccine off the shelves. And in the United States of America, we've had major problems with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Yeah. Why then are we pushing this on our children?
So now the children have to get it, Heather.
Right. Well, and I'm just wondering where this is happening, because as you and I were just discussing, New York has just now opened up the vaccine eligibility to everyone 16 and above. So what if you're in one of those areas and you're a kid and you can't get the vaccine, even if you were wanting to get the vaccine, or your parents wanted you to get the vaccine? It just leaves so many questions open, and I don't think people are really thinking through this, because it becomes a politically correct thing to do, even though it doesn't necessarily follow the science or the logistics.
Yeah. Stacy, what are your thoughts?
So if you look on the Moderna website, and I believe this is on the CDC as well, they have a fact sheet about the Moderna vaccine. And it says it's only approved for ages 18 and up. That's first of all. Second of all, it still catch COVID-19. And the Epoch Times had today an article, 5,800 and some odd people have caught the COVID-19 after being fully vaccinated with 2 doses or what have you. So then, as Aaron mentioned, there are all of these different ones, AstraZeneca, J&J, pulled off the market because of different things, the super blood clotting illness for 7 women. And then there are other things with AstraZeneca overseas. The side effects listed on the Moderna website for their vaccine are an all-over body rash and other things that sound a lot worse than COVID-19 if you don't have comorbidities. So when you talk about this, and Aaron says, you know, as a parent, I look at our kids who are now, they're teenagers, obviously, they're not playing Little League, but I remember how much they used to practice and really put their heart and soul into getting ready for these types of tournaments. And they're just like on pins and needles. They can't sleep the week before. You have to work hard to calm them down, give them shoulder rubs and hugs. And then these kids get snatched away from them for a vaccine that's not even approved for their age group. Yeah. 12-year-olds are actually approved for the Moderna vaccine. So that's not fair. And the people who are doing it should be made a public example of. I mean, they should be standing in front of a press conference and saying, this is why we think 12-year-olds should get a vaccine that's only approved for 18 and up,
Yeah.
so that parents can see their faces, because kids deserve to play.
By the way, I didn't get preparation, shoulder rubs or anything. My dad took me outside, played strikeout, and threw the ball at my head, so I learned how to get out of the way. That was my preparation. We're going to have more coming up. Plan, it's absolutely true, by the way. A plan to pay slave reparations to America's blacks is getting closer to reality, at least in the House. Could it get through the Senate? We're going to be talking about that and more, the liberal agenda that could come if they get rid of the filibuster after this.